Hello, beautiful humans, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Get Cozy and talk about all the taboo things. I'm here nestled in. I am on the coast of Croatia at the moment, exploring what's next for our family. I have my warm cup of tea, and I have some things on my mind, so let's get right to them. Why am I here? I have been feeling called to channel something real time and also talk about what is going on presently and what I feel is really coming through energetically, as well as mediumship's place in our future and what that looks like. So if you're curious, if you feel like you're intuitive or sensitive and you just feel curious, what is all of this about? Where can I bring it into my own life? And what is being channeled for me? What am I supposed to know? What will help me with this modern life, my future? If you want to know any of that, this is the channel for you. This is the video for you. Before I forget, make sure to like, subscribe, drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And you can even share it with a friend. That's how community is built. Because my entire reason I do this, the reason that I put my heart into this, my soul into this, is for this community, for my clients, for the people coming to me that are just looking for someone to understand them, looking for someone to learn from, and just someone who has love in their heart. And that's what I'm here for, is a cozy space, love in my heart. If you tuned into my podcast, you know that that's why I started that. And I really just want you to know that I feel like you matter. Everybody matters. We are all so connected. And so if you've been feeling a little isolated or you're just curious and want to know more, this is the space for you. So I'm going to jump right into it. Dear beautiful humans, we want to tell you this because it feels like a soul truth you may have forgotten. The world around you, it can feel so overwhelming. It can feel full of chaos and stress and like you don't know where to turn. And for so long, we have handed over the reins to other people to be in control of our life, our existence, to be in control of what we deem to be a life well lived. If you've been feeling this too, like you're walking through life, maybe sleepwalking, maybe you feel like you're living someone else's life. Don't worry, you're not alone. It doesn't make it any easier, but just know that there are so many of us walking through this. When I speak to you about this, it comes from a place of all-encompassing love, of the reminder that we don't really know that much at all. In fact, we really know so little. We can feel tides turning. We can feel resistance building. We can feel the joy of a new way of being, but it feels so far out of reach. So how do we build it? How do we bring it into the here and the now in a very grounded, practical, evidence-driven way? How do we look at the future and say, this is the future I want for myself, my family, my children, the children of the world, the animals of the world? And while I don't claim to have all the answers, or really the answers, I do have reflections. And the reflections that I'm sharing here with you come from a place of love and of inner knowing and of a return to oneself. Maybe you've heard it too. Maybe you've heard all of the voices that shout this from the rooftops, that your inner world dictates your outer world. And if we return to that inner knowing, if we shift our vibration, if we move from a place of full self-trust, and the world around us shifts. And yes, this is how I live my life now. It wasn't this way even a few years ago. I've been studying for 9 years. I've been practicing for 5 years as a psychic medium, intuitive energy healer. And yet it's taken me until this last year to start putting this 9 years of knowledge into full embodied practice by living it real time and teaching it back to you. And I say this because so often we can internalize things logically, but we don't embody them with our action. And see, what happens is when we have all the knowledge in our mind and in our heart, but it doesn't move into action in our body, that's when we fall short and we say, this isn't working. This doesn't feel right for me. I don't understand. I talk to my guides all the time. I speak with spirit. I feel divinely guided. I see signs and synchronicities, but nothing in my life is shifting. But the question that I have learned to ask myself is, are you shifting? Because in order to draw in the shift, You have to shift your frequency to match the frequency of the things you want to magnetize to you. Okay, I know that can be a lot. And when I first heard it too, I was like, how? What? This makes no sense. Why would I do this? This feels like a lot of work. I don't even know. Do I believe this? And here's the thing that I would love for you to know. I would love for you to walk away from with this today. You are the embodied change, ahead of the change. This is the simplest way I can put it. When we take all of this beautiful knowledge that resonates with us and we say, yeah, that feels right for me, and we bring it into action, we start living from a frequency that we desire instead of waiting for that to match our lives, that is when shift occurs. That is when magic happens. That is when we start showing ourselves, the universe, the frequency around us that I am really living this truth. And you say, it's easier said than done. Is it like fake it till you make it? No, not necessarily. I think we're talking about two different things here. So fake it till you make it, I understand the premise of that, but that's saying that it's not coming from a genuine place. It's not coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of believing it is already true necessarily. It's saying that there's something about me that is false. But this is not what I'm talking about. I am talking about a paradigm shift that you internally know because it is already true. Because you have seen it, you have visioned it, you have dreamed it, you have looked into the energy of your life and everything, and you have said, this is where I'm meant to be. So in order to bridge the gap there, in order to go from this lived current reality to that, you have to live into it, be that person. I'll give you a prime example. For so long in this world and in this work as a psychic medium, I believed that I couldn't speak that truth out loud because people wouldn't understand, and that in order to serve clients, I needed to do it quietly, and I needed to do it in a way that felt safe for my nervous system. And sure, that worked for a while, and I was able to help a lot of people. But you know what? I wasn't able to reach the people that really needed me because I wasn't showing up. So let me tell you this. When I realized that I had to live into the frequency of the person that would live from a place of intuition and truth and help the people that were seeking that guidance, connection with loved ones, that were seeking to return back to themselves, build self-trust, learn how to communicate in this way, I couldn't be invisible, right? You can't find an invisible person that just believes they have something beautiful and heartfelt to offer and then just hope that people find you. No, you have to live the truth of what that is for you. And not everybody's journey is out loud. Not everybody's journey is moving from a place of peak visibility or wanting that. But for me, I had to be really real. Why? To help people. To help the younger version of myself. To help the woman I was 2, 3, 5, 10 years ago. To be able to reach back in time almost seemingly and say, you were struggling so much. Look what we've learned. I'm with you now. I'm here. Let me show you. Let me guide you. Let me teach you. Let me bring you into the fold of this life. And I am not saying life is perfect. Life is hard. It is hard sometimes, but it can be hard and joyful. It can be hard and loving. It can be challenging, and you can stay curious. I have been through some pretty challenging things in my life, I'm not gonna lie. And I talk about them pretty openly here and on the podcast. But one thing I will tell you is that over the years, I've moved from a victim mentality to a mentality of, okay, what is my part in this? What story is being mirrored back to me? What reflection of the person that I'm in this situation with, or this relationship with, or is coming to me, what am I learning from this? What are they mirroring back about me? Because so much of life is a mirror. When I would have the hardest days going to work, commuting, you get out of the door, you're rushing, you're spilling coffee on yourself, you have an eyelash in your eye, you get a flat tire, all of these things cascading, this seemingly cascading effect. That was coming from within me. I will tell you that since I have shifted my energy to a place of pretty much a vast opposite of that. My life doesn't look like that anymore. But when I start to default back to that and rush and be in that frenzy and that chaos, guess what happens? I'll give you an example. I spilled my tea the other day because I was back in that energy very briefly. And I spilled it not just on myself and down my pant leg, getting to a day in the office full of clients, but I spilled it into my car center dashboard where all of the mechanics are just down in there. So imagine the cleanup effort, and imagine that I quickly noticed that I did not want my day to be like this. And I said, okay, I can either live from a place of frustration or I can live from a place of joy and curiosity. What do I want to do today? Who do I want to be today? How do I want to show up today? Now that's not easy, but what I am sharing with you is this, real-time channeling this through, is that if we want to create a world that we are proud to live in, if we want to create a world that supports our beautiful children and our families and ourselves, if we want to speak our soul truth in and not feel like we're on Groundhog Day every single day, then that change has to start from within you. You get to shift who you want to be and then say, this is what I'm shedding. These are the beliefs that I don't want to hold on to. These are the things I don't want to do. These are the things I'm no longer willing to accept in my life. When you do that, watch how life magnetizes for you. Watch how your life starts to attract more things. Because if you're in that energy, those lower vibrational energies, you start to attract all sorts of lower vibrational things. People, relationships, job situations, drama, problems. And I'm not saying those things don't happen in human life, but it's how you deal with them that decides whether you attract more or you attract an outcome that feels favorable for you. So, if life is going to happen anyways, if change is inevitable, it's the only thing that we will ever know is actually going to happen, is that things will change. And life will either change for you or you will change life with it. You will co-create it or it will do it on its own for you, because change is inevitable. So as we know that, do we want to be co-creators of that is the question. And so why do I bring this through today? Because the exact point is this. As we are co-creators of our future, of our life, of our energy, this is where we can start. In a world that makes us feel powerless, that hands over a whole set of beliefs and limiting beliefs and a lot of what feels like compartments that we have to live in and really stuff ourselves into, where you can start to make a difference is within yourself. Because if you make a difference within yourself, the ripple effects are profound. And then the people around you may or may not choose to make a difference in themselves. And by difference, I mean they might start to notice. They might start to shift their energy. They might start to put distance between the action and the reaction. They might start to decide to embrace a different energy and move from a place of loving intention instead of assuming the worst. Whatever the change will be, when we start to change from within, we create a ripple effect that is vast. And with that vast effect, we are able to move into a place of creativity instead of fear. And from a place of creativity, we create meaningful change from within, from the communities we are. We are being reflected back what is us. So just want to thank that guidance from flowing through today. And I want to talk about what mediumship's role is in the future. Maybe these feel like two separate topics, but I promise they feel very aligned. Because as we're creating this future, I want everybody to know the possibility of what it is to communicate with loved ones who have passed, to communicate with spirit, to communicate with the world around them, the natural world, and to really feel and understand that our senses are incredibly vast. So vast, in fact, that we truly do not know the full extent of what that is. It's pretty remarkable, isn't it? To think that we live in a world of knowns, but we really live in a world of unknowns. And when we live in a world of unknowns, what does that mean? It means there's possibility. And if we live in a world of possibility, what does that mean? It means there is hope. And if we live in a world of hope, that means that we get to move forward and know that we are still co-creating our existence, even when everything feels fully out of control. This is what the rise looks like. This is what a bit of resistance and reclamation looks like. If we can't reclaim every structure of society, we can reclaim our own personal power. And I believe that mediumship, spirit communication, sensing into our own senses, our intuitive wisdom, the language of the world around us, of our natural world that we are part of, that is a very vast part of that, what we call awakening. So, if this is you too, if you have been feeling this, like your life might be a little out of control, a little chaotic, I want to teach you a few things here before we go. Number one, how to center yourself and come back in communication with yourself when you are feeling totally out of control. So just gently place a hand on your heart. And I want you to envision information, light flowing down through your head, all the way down through your head, through your body, down through your toes, and then out your fingertips. And then I want you to envision earth energy flowing all the way up your feet, all the way through the top of your head and out. I want you to start feeling what it is to be in one of your favorite natural settings. Maybe you have bare feet on the ground, or you feel the breeze or the sun on your skin. Maybe you're swimming. What does it feel like to be in connection with the earth? Feel a little lighter? You feel like you can breathe? Okay, you can call that energy to you anytime. Here's an example. I want you to imagine that you're in a board room or a meeting room, and there's other people in there and you're having some sort of meeting. Maybe this is far off for you, but just imagine it here for a second. Imagine that you're sitting and there's a laptop in front of you and there's Zoom calls or calendar invites and there's a meeting. And you just feel so disconnected and irritated, and your energy is like, oh, why are we here? This could have been an email. What are we doing? Okay, you don't even have to close your eyes for this. Same thing that you're going to be calling from. You could place your hand here. You could place your hand on your knee, just really to touch, to know that your body is part of you, that you are integrated, that you're not just a floating head, right? That our body and our head are connected. Okay. And as you do this, you're just going to flow that light down. Bring that earth energy up, really feel the connection, and then envision very quickly that place that you know in earth where you are absolutely connected. You're going to think quickly of those bare feet on the ground. You're going to think of the sun. You're going to think of the moon. You're going to think of the night sky, whatever it is, the breeze on your face. You are going to think about that. And when you think about that, you're going to feel it in your body, and you're going to think, I'm connected. You take a deep breath, your shoulders loosen a little bit. You're connected. You're connected to spirit. You're connected to yourself, your intuition. This is embodied intuition. Okay. I share these things with you because when we struggle, we shouldn't have to do it without help, without tools, without things that bring us alive. We shouldn't have to just suffer through it, right? We can shift our energy at any moment, but sometimes we just don't know how. And that how is really important, because when you feel alone in it, the last thing you want to do is be feeling like I am disempowered. Embodied intuition is all about empowered self. Okay. The next thing I want to bring to you, the thing that feels really grounded right now, is just one last thing that I often do with my clients. So the door frame touch. It doesn't have to be physical door frame, but I do want to kind of show you this with both hands, putting my tea down. Okay. If you were feeling like you're in a situation, this works really well when you feel disconnected from intuitive voice, from self, from guides and energy. Okay, inviting you to do this. Find some sort of object that feels natural and steady for you. I like to say like a door frame or a wooden table, or maybe it's your own hands here, your own arms, or your hands. Maybe you're able to do something with your hands, or maybe it's just like tapping your knees for a minute. But you're gonna wanna find something that makes you feel like back to reality in the moment is the best way I can describe this. Okay, it's a reminder. So you pick one that you love to do. I used to use a door frame when I was working in a corporate setting. Before I would enter a meeting room that I knew was gonna be stressful, that I knew I wasn't gonna love, that I knew I would have to sit there and mask my way through it, I would touch the door frame on the way in, pause for just a brief moment. Take a deep breath. Say, I am connected, I am empowered. I am connected, I am empowered. And when you do that, when you enter the room, throughout the meeting, leave the room, you are returning to self. Because sometimes what can happen in these environments, especially if you're like home for a holiday and there's a lot going on, there's family dynamics, you're completely shut out from self for hours on end. And when I say self, I mean like love, energetic self, intuition, not ego self, where like you're in your own stories and such. This is not a disintegration of the ego. This is very much a loving integration of all things, because we are, these human forms. So it's gonna show up. But this is a checking in with like, what is the loving version of me? What is the embodied version of me? What is the intuitive version of me? What is the higher version of me wanting and needing in this moment? Okay. So when you touch that door frame and you walk in, you take a deep breath. You say, I'm embodied, I am connected, or your version of that. I had a few different sayings. I would say, I am empowered, I am embodied, I am connected, I stay in my truth. So I stay in my truth. No matter what happens in this meeting, I stay in my truth. I speak from the heart. If I don't agree with something, I allow myself to say it in a kind way and in an empowered way and in a strong way. And I do this in service of the greater good of this entire team, of myself, and of what I feel. And I will always live to that. So when you do these two practices, if you're feeling really disembodied, it can very much help bring you back to center. Okay. So mediumship in all of this is what I consider a very real way, a tangible way. Okay. So mediumship is what I consider to be a very tangible way, in fact, because it's evidence-based, to start to understand the depth, breadth, and fullness of senses and how we communicate with loved ones who have passed, but also how we communicate with spirit and animals and all the other things. But when we do this with people who have passed, it is very confirming, because if I were to sit with you and you have a loved one who has passed, and I give you 15 to 20 bits of information that I would have no way to know, then it's very evidentially confirming that your loved one is speaking with you. And if your loved one can speak with you beyond the veil, in the different frequencies of energy, if your loved one can just effectively use a medium's brain to channel information to their loved one since they can't speak directly, then you know that you could speak to your loved one directly. And if you could speak to your loved one directly, then and be taught how to do that, then you can also say, well, who else can I speak to? What else can I speak to? Can I ask for spiritual guidance? Can I ask for support? Can I ask to speak to animals? Can I ask to speak to people telepathically? Could I ask to speak to my higher self? Like, that opens up the possibility of what communication is. We have limited communication to 3D tangible things. Is this reality? No, I don't believe so. I believe it is very limited and keeps people disempowered. So, mediumship's evolution is showing people what's possible and returning them to themselves and helping them communicate with their loved ones, helping them communicate with their higher selves, helping them communicate as we all explore this together. Because guess what? None of us really know, right? None of us really know. We kind of have an idea. We've seen things, we've been shown things. We can say, I've been shown this. This feels really true for me. I've been shown this. This feels very real. But we all get to explore it together. And so my invitation to you, my invitation for why we're here, why I'm talking about this stuff, is for empowerment, is for real life, practical, tactical tools, for evidential confirmation, and to show you that by learning to connect with your loved ones who have passed, learning to connect and listen to your guides and your intuitive sense, which is effectively information being brought to you and then you being able to decipher it and understand it and see it through signs, through synchronicities, through inner knowings, through your clair abilities, clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairgustance. So intuition's role in that, mediumship's role in that, is to remind us that what we believe is possible is just scratching the surface. And if that feels like the future possibility is to expand, explore, and be curious, then bringing it back full circle, imagine the world we can create together when we open up our senses, use a vast much bigger expanse of our brains, use a much bigger portion of our brains, because what we use in a very limited way is such a small percentage of what our brains are capable of interpreting. And if we use this to our advantage, if we use this in our everyday life, if we use this as, hey, my senses are comprehensive, if we discard the narrative that we're supposed to be limited instead of seeking, if we discard the narrative that we are supposed to be limiting more and more instead of gaining more and more, then imagine the world we're going to create together. And I'm not saying this from like a super woo place either. It is really from a love place. Like, don't you want to live in a world where we're all exploring, where we're all curious, where we're all opening up our abilities, where we feel more intuitively guided, where we balance our logic and our thinking brain with our intuitive guidance? Some of the most well-known business minds in the world, the ones that speak very publicly, really follow that intuitive language. They can sense things, feel things, understand things, know things, recognize things, and they don't always know how. And imagine what that might be. So my invitation is for you to open up your mind a little, get curious, expand, explore, take this channeled message, use these practical tools, and integrate them into your life. So you come back to your center, embody your intuition, really allow yourself to be engaged, to reclaim your power a little bit, and to maybe consider what the future would be, where we bring communication and mediumship and all of this evidential information into the fold to show us what is possible in a world where I believe we have very, very expansive possibility. So if you like this video, thank you for joining. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for being with me while I start the channel. Like, I'm learning, we're gonna learn together, we're gonna grow together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. And if you're really invested, send me an email. Let's hang out, let's do a session. Let's check out all the other things that are going on. I have Clarity Code, which I absolutely love. It's the framework that I use, the channeled framework and transmission that came through, and I use it with my clients and myself to help me find clarity on that one big question, that one big why that just will not let go. It's a great way to get instant clarity in an area that you've been really stuck on for a long time. And then Embodied Intuition, which is a 5-day transformational course that allows you to learn how to recognize intuitive senses, build self-trust, embody intuition, and make real actionable and lasting change in your life. So until next time, thanks for joining me in my cozy corner with my cup of tea, and I'll meet you here next time around.